It's all I can do to keep you from going every single night." Her mouth dropped open. "So you're plotting against me?" "At Father's request, of course." She sniffed. "I no longer need a nursemaid." He smiled and spoke to her as if she were still 8 years old. "Of course, sister." She punched him on the shoulder. Javin enjoyed teasing her, but their father was quite serious. The Grand General wanted his daughter to be seen by the masses, but not too often. She was so popular with the commoners, it was best to keep her as a rarefied delicacy than a daily staple. Her beauty, not to mention her family name, would make her the object of many a suitor, and perhaps more than a few unwelcome admirers. Javin surveyed the gallery again. When he had returned to Norgard after the war halted, Bella's endless effervescence had pulled him back from the brink of endless black moods. On the other hand, she distracted him from his task at times like this, when they were most vulnerable. The two bodyguards standing behind Javin and Bella in their special box on the mezzanine could have been the twins in their dark blue woolen uniforms, similar to Javin's own. The mezzanine box was, of course, the best in the playhouse, with a commanding central view of the stage, hanging high above the gallery. Javin caught a whiff of the unwashed bodies below, all of them warm and moistened from this evening's steady rain. He wrinkled his nose. Why could they not bathe more often, he would never understand. The building rattled with the crash of thunder and the patter of the rain as it drove against the tile roof above, like phantom applause before the show started. Bella wore her favorite gown, pink and ivory sequined, commissioned by their mother just before her death. Bella was beginning to outgrow it now and stretch it in womanly ways, much to Javin's protective consternation. She favored him with a radiant smile. "I've heard this play is even more wonderful than The King's Three Daughters." "How do you know that? I understood that this is the first performance." "You have your spies, and I have mine," she giggled. "Master Filton has some skill with a quill, I must say. Such a terrible thing to watch a poor old man betrayed by his children, in that last one. But it all ended well, didn't it?" The ending was too happy. He forgave them too easily, after they had stolen his throne and left him to starve in the Red Waste. "Ah, but we must have a happy ending. Forgiveness is a virtue, Javin. Don't you agree?" He sighed, noting the other nobles and wealthy merchants ensconced on the other mezzanine boxes. "Of course, you're right. We must even forgive our enemies some day." He took a drink of his wine, saying nothing. She was so innocent. How could she know that he could never forgive the Farthing? Images crowded his mind again, the stench of battle, the thunder of his heartbeat, louder than the cannons, louder than the screams of dying men, the feeling of his bowels turning to water, his hands shaking so badly he could not even hold his pistol steady, the relentless onslaught of men so willing to die for their profits. And not just men. He still remembered the way his sword blade had grated between the ribs of a Farthy boy little older than Bella. Why must such pain never be more than half a thought away? He twitched and shook himself to bring his mind back to the moment. "The best plays," she continued, "always have a happy ending, don't they?" "Yes, of course." She slapped his arm and said with mock seriousness, "You're not listening to me. You must listen to me, or I'll pinch you." "If you pinch me, my dear lovely sister, I shall have to tickle you until you cannot breathe, and that would simply not be proper behavior for the Grand General's children." He squeezed her hand. "You wouldn't." "You know I would. I would embarrass you in front of this entire theater." "Now I know you're lying. You, dear brother, are too restrained to carry out such a hideous threat. Now shush, it's starting." The innocence and unbridled joy in her gaze brought a lump into his throat. He laughed with her, to make it go away. He was not so innocent as that, not any more, and he could not bear to tell her that none of this was a game or a play. The Red Lily was the finest theater in the city of Norgard. The stage was polished rosewood surrounded by flickering foot lanterns. The ceiling arched into polished wooden vaults.